Given this many crises that you're in government, that leaders in government are having to deal with, what do you think that government leaders could do to accelerate the transition to a greener economy? And I'd ask, what can you do specifically in your governments in Indonesia and Singapore, and also what could you do together?
The most important things for the energy transition is to obtain the just and affordable energy transitions. And during the discussion in Davos, one of the most issues that every country are looking at is their own energy security. One of the priorities for the G20 outcomes will be on the energy transition, in which the energy transition, it has to be just, affordable, as well as it has the component of energy security in each countries. So how to balance between just, affordables and energy securities, it will becoming the challenge. And in order to bridge the gap between the transition of energy price and affordable price for the peoples, of course, the component of financing will becoming a key component.
I would just focus on the green economy pillar. So with the green economy pillar, we have 3 prongs. The first prong is, how do we help our key industries, for instance, like the energy and chemical sector, to decarbonize? So to that end, we put in place policies, we put in place initiatives to encourage industries to pursue energy-efficient initiatives. The second pronged approach that we have adopted is we will also grow new sectors. We will help businesses and workers to seize opportunities in the green economy. Third, obviously, we're going to invest significantly in research and development.
For businesses and for investors, clarity is really important. I mean, the world is inherently uncertain. Many of the technologies that are required, the investments that are required to allow for energy transition, for greening industrial processes and so on, involve a fair amount of risk. And the environment in which governments set the parameters for companies becomes very important. So I think governments have a big part to play in setting first the overall context. So whether it's trying to get to net zero by 2050, 2060, providing a kind of timeline for which businesses can see that there is real push towards certain targets is very important.
For e-commerce and also our digital financial services business, I think we had a very big impact and a good impact, especially during the pandemic in the countries that we operate in. During the pandemic, let's say for a person, let's say for solo, right? So during the pandemic, the shop is closed, he cannot do anything, or simply don't have a job. But now with e-commerce, he actually can make some thing like say a batik, like a Javanese batik, and sell to another part of Indonesia, even in the middle of the pandemic.
What challenges do you face on the ground that is holding back maybe the pace of digitization in the region? Is it skill shortages? Is it weak infrastructure? Is it safety, cyber safety issues perhaps? Or is it the absence of financial inclusion? What are the challenges that you're looking at? What needs to be done to tackle them? And what are you yourselves doing?
So 6 main ones that we had identified. 5 of those, quite frankly, we've seen really good progress on the last couple of years, and those 5 being payments, consumer trust, digital infrastructure, logistics, and funding. Now, having said that, the 6th one, which I think was touched on earlier as well, talent continues to be a major challenge. Now, looking forward, there are probably 3 others that I'll mention that as we think about what can really help supercharge the digital economy going forward. Number 1, ESG. So thinking about and establishing the right metrics to track and a consistent way for us to track and report and monitor ESG and sustainability. Digital inclusion, once again, sort of promoting digital literacy across the board. And the third being data infrastructure and regulation, whether that's privacy regulation, cross-border data, digital trade agreements. I think all are quite critical to promoting the digital economy in Southeast Asia and certainly in Indonesia.
We also done a lot when it comes to overcoming the challenges. Those SMEs, the digital literacies, the know-how, even the inertia that they don't know like what they're entering into. So we also doing a lot of mentoring, and we're not working alone. We also collaborating with Indonesian ministers, central banks, because Indonesia is such a vast country to cover, right? So the collaborations mode that we are doing with a lot of parties, both on the private sectors and government, help hopefully keep growing and overcome those challenges.
The pandemic has clearly taught us many important lessons, and it's shaping the future of healthcare. What do you see are some of the changes for Indonesia's healthcare?
Great pandemics open up a great opportunity for Indonesia to reform, especially our healthcare reform. So now we are embarking and using this momentum, windows of opportunity to do major healthcare reform. The issues that we have when we would like to do reform is first we have to change the mindset. Instead of focusing how to cure sick people, we focus on how to establish healthy people. It is much more cheaper, much more efficient, and much more productive also for the people. So changing the mindset of the populations that healthcare is their responsibility, and also focusing on keeping you healthy is much more important than curing you when you are sick.
COVID showed us what can be done to help reverse some of this. You cannot control the escalation in terms of aging and sickness, but you can bend the curve. Just as we bend the COVID curve, we need to bend the chronic illness curve. And that is through preventive care. Imagine we convert that entire machinery into preventive care. That you and I, who are all healthy, we will see a doctor, just as we see a doctor during COVID. We'll see a doctor and they will make sure we do our health screening. They'll make sure that we practice healthy lifestyle, eating, sleeping, dieting, exercising, doing all those things well. And it will prevent so much pain and expenses later on in life.
In order for this care continuum to work as an ecosystem between primary, secondary, tertiary, and ancillary care, there must be proper data sharing between the public and private sector and between private sectors. In order to create a seamless experience for the patient, improve the clinical outcome, as well as empower our consumers to make their own informed decisions. At the same time, for the consumers, they also require certain tweaking of the co-payment scheme in order to change their behavior towards what we call the preventive care or the rehabilitative care. So I think these are the challenges that we have to overcome before the private sector can fall aligned with the government policies and the changing landscape.